have now reached the intersection where ideas, beliefs, and perspectives collide. So be free to be you. It's the Xrossroadz podcast with your hosts, author, speaker, and transformational strategist, Barzini, and entrepreneur, empowerment coach, and tech diva, Dre Renee. If you're ready to talk love, business, politics, and everything in between, you're in for a ride. Welcome to the Xrossroadz podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Hunter Grand, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm fempreneur extraordinaire, tech diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the Xrossroadz, where there's only one rule.
Be free to be you.
What it do, what it does, what it is, what it was.
All of the above.
And all of the above.
Yeah. I'll try to keep up.
Right. That was a good response, though. I get mad when we start episodes and I ain't got nothing to talk shit about. What you do this week?
I mean,
did you do something?
When you got it, you got it.
See, when I ain't got nothing, you be feeling yourself when you...
Hey.
You ain't got reinforcements this week. You made it. You there?
I made it. Yeah. I'm trying to get better and better every week. That's my goal.
I'm gonna find something.
I'm sure you will. That's what friends are for.
Yeah. What's been going on this week, though?
Whew. Man, I feel like some other things are happening. Oh, somebody tagged me in Derek Jackson's Happy Mother's Day post to his wife.
He's back,
right? Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
I mean, I was like, good for you guys, I guess. You know, as long as old girl is happy, then works for me.
You don't care. You don't care if he happy.
Oh yeah.
Him too, I guess. Like,
yeah. I mean, I just assume he's happy. I mean, because he got her to stay, or she decided to stay. I don't know. Like, if he wanted to be away, he definitely had the opportunity. If she left and was like, "Okay, go ahead and do your thing," and he really wanted his family, my assumption is that he's happy.
So you know what. And I wish we would have thought about this earlier. So I want to put a pin in this exchange right here, and then come back to it after our first segment.
Okay.
After first block, because it's literally the
perfect.
Like
he's gonna try to get me. Like
No. I'm not.
It's perfect for what we're gonna talk about.
It's perfect for what we're gonna talk about. So it's not. I got you. I wouldn't even do you like that. I wouldn't even. You thought I was setting you up.
Yeah, I did.
Where is the faith?
I know.
Nice
shirt.
Thank
Lean
you.
back with it. Lean back with it.
Fight on.
I wish I would have known. I would have been ready.
For those on our audio platforms, I'm wearing a USC t-shirt, and that's Dre's alma mater, the Mighty Trojans.
That's right.
Y'all been on top of football for a minute. When's the last time y'all lost to UCLA?
I want to say a couple of years ago. I think 2 years ago. Like ever so often, they catch.
I mean, because the crazy part,
but then it's like spans.
Right. The crazy part is, but this is especially true for UCLA. Like that's the only game that matters. You ever notice? Like I think their last, how many coaches in a row got fired for losing to SC? I know Neuheisel got fired after.
I don't follow them, so
the black dude, was it Carl Durrell or something like that? I think he got fired after losing to SC. I think it was you lose the USC, you gotta go.
Gotta go. I'm surprised they're current. If they still have the same coach, I'm surprised he made it.
I don't even know who their coach is. They don't be winning. So, and I don't have a dog in the fight. You know what I'm saying? I had the luxury of not going to either. I just love all things LA. Yeah. So, I just love when USC UCLA day comes. I get just all the commentary and all the shit talking. And
It's
y'all
always a
be
good time. It's always a good time.
yeah, unless you lose because you're old.
But even that, even just the experience, win, lose, or draw. I mean, of course, if you lose, it does suck at the end. But the experience, like the build up, which we call Troy Week, and I think they call it BDSC Week or something random. But the week lead up is always a thing. And then for those of us, you know, who are still in touch, we would do something like a tailgate or a brunch or something to watch the game together and, you know, pop off in close proximity. And then, yeah, your goal is to be able to continue to pop off for the whole entire year. Like you don't want to get shut down.
between like Rodney, Corin, EJ, who else be talking mad shit? Those
people
are the
that don't go to school.
Listen. The Cal State people be killing me. Those are the ones that kill me the most.
Y'all. Okay, I guess they like.
I guess you gotta because
we California. We schools in California.
You know, you got Cal State SC and Cal State UCLA. I'm like, couldn't y'all just win? I mean, I don't get mad at them because you went to a Cal State and you didn't.
Yeah, you didn't have that experience. No, I feel it. You know. Just come to the winning side. That's all I say. But shout out to all my Trojans, and you know, shout out to the Bruins too.
So last question: why does it seem like they never get to Tommy Trojan, but the Bear always got for some reason?
I mean,
I feel like it's an inside job.
If you stay ready,
you can't be that sloppy. Like you. It seems like every year they get to that damn Bear and they paint it Cardinal and gold.
Shows up in the play on the field as well. You get caught slipping. That was one of the funniest. I remember I woke up and saw that Bear had been covered in Cardinal and gold paint. I laughed.
I was like, who was slipping? Because I don't think they have somebody that camps out to guard
Supposed to guard it, yeah.
And I know y'all cover Tommy with duct tape. Like if you go fuck with Tommy, you got that's just too much goddamn work and too much time.
Yeah. You're gonna get caught in the act of trying to unwrap.
Right. And they ain't figured it, they ain't broke the code yet. Like, why don't y'all just cover it up and with something?
I think they do, maybe with like a sheet or something. I don't know.
See, that's that private school education versus that. But I need them to figure that part out. So
y'all guard the Bear.
That should have been this weekend. The fuck. But speaking of the fuck, let's go on and jump into the segment. What you got for us this week?
So this week, we're getting into a little story time. I don't necessarily have a meme though. I think I'll shoot you something like at least a photo that you could, put up in post-production. So for those of you,
this must mean it's something from a reality show.
You know, because I'm about to have to give you a backstory because you don't know these people.
I don't know these people. Okay.
Yeah. And for anyone else who doesn't know these people, it's okay. We're going to get to the point at the end, which is, more general and asking, we're going to give our feedback. And then of course we are looking for yours in the comments, or if you're in our Xrossroadz group on Facebook, we would love to, hear what you have to say about that as well. Okay. So the story goes, if you watch Real Housewives of Atlanta, Portia, I don't even know what her last name is anymore. And she's already been married, and then
they all go by first names anyway.
Yeah. She's hopped around with a few people on this show and dated. I do not watch regularly anymore. So I think I'm about 2 or 3 seasons behind. So all of this news, I had no idea.
How many seasons are there?
Oh God, I want to say something like 13, 14.
And wait, does this include like every
might be more than that?
Or that's just 13?
No, that's just because Atlanta. Well, Atlanta's not the original. I think OC is the original, but it's the original Black one. Oh. Atlanta's been on for quite a bit of time. And for the past few years, people have really, really been on Potomac. Even I switched over like, let me look at some new people because Atlanta was getting on my nerves. So Portia has been on the show for a little while now at this point, and we've watched her, be more like the little sister to the OGs, and now she's, technically, I guess, an OG at this point. So from what I understand, she brought another young lady on this season. So you know who Nene Leakes is, right? You've at least heard of her.
Is that the one with the big teeth?
Okay, yes, let's go with that. Yeah, big mouth, big voice, yes, I'm sure. She's gotten some work done, so maybe her teeth aren't.
Well, I think I just remember seeing a meme where her smiling and her teeth look really big.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm sure that's who you're referring to.
Short hair, like dark skin.
Yes.
Got you. Okay.
So she's gone now, and maybe some other folks have exited. Phaedra, again, I don't think none of these names mean anything to you. But Phaedra was actually Bobby Brown's attorney back, when it was going down. So anyway,
she was paid then. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. she was not bored. So they have some new people that have come in. And so word on the street is that this lady named Fallon was brought in by Portia. So this is not just somebody you meet as a result of filming. There's at least a connection enough for you to say like, hey, she would be a good addition, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, this lady is married on the show, and Atlanta, I think, just wrapped in terms of the airing of the season just within the past few weeks. I think like the reunion shows either have run or are running right now. So they likely recorded this, once things were safe, because, Atlanta been popping during pandemic. So at least once they were sure things were safe enough, they recorded this at some point last year. Let's give them the summer or something like that. Right. So, definitely between like late spring and early summer, because one of the episodes was actually Portia getting arrested at a protest. And, George Floyd and all of the things that were going on in Atlanta. So bottom line, the lady that she brought in was married during filming and as this aired. But at this point in time, this lady, Fallon, and her husband divorced. Her husband is a net worth of $40 million, Nigerian businessman. They are now divorced as of January 2021. And as of at least yesterday, it hit the blogs and everything else, that Portia is now engaged to said $40 million high value Kevin Samuels tagged man. So the question is, the fuck?
Hey.
I mean, your friend, and people are throwing around the word friend, and others are saying, well, were they really friends, or how close, of a friend is she, or was she? And then there are others who are like, it doesn't matter, the degree of friendship. You were close enough to bring her on the show. You were close enough to be at her house, around her family. All of these things were going on, and you should know better. So that's kind of what's going on in the street and on social media. So generally, because again, you don't know these people, is it okay to date your friend's ex? And you know what, we got a minute on the clock. And go.
All right. So I do kind of in a way agree with the degree of separation. Now, for this particular situation, it's Hollywood. So her bringing her on the show, that does not necessarily mean that they actually had a relationship in real life. They could have been close enough to say, hey, you're good for the show. That could have been like a business friendship or something like that. But let's just say, in real life, if they were close, like close friends are supposed to be girls, yeah, that's kind of fucked up. But adults make adult decisions. Now, there was a situation in real life that I had that I won't kind of expose, but two of my bros had the situation where one of them went behind another one's back, and it was just somebody he liked. It wasn't somebody that he was with. But this one started messing with her, moving in the whole nine. Now, I would always say bro code is have the conversation first, like go to them, and if you get the blessing, it's whatever, what I'm saying? Like, don't give a blessing if you don't mean it. What I'm saying? So, yeah, I think degrees of separation, all that stuff kind of matters and counts or whatever.
All right. You nailed it about 70 seconds. Good for you. I gave you a little bonus.
Oh, okay. You gave me 10 extras?
Yeah.
Oh,
We're in a
okay.
pandemic.
We need to find an
everybody
actual
deserves extra.
timer. We need to put an actual timer up next time.
Timer up. Okay. Next time I'll be ready. I'll be ready for it. But I want you to still have a free flow of ideas. I don't want you to be watching the clock while you're talking.
For those who don't know, we're working on me being more succinct in my in my analyses.
Yeah, but also just so that we can get to the topic at hand. We'll wind up starting here, and this will be the whole episode. So
I think we did. Didn't we do that once? We never got to the actual topic.
Or it just morphed from that. Like, you know what? Let's talk about this.
All right,
because we had already talked about it.
Yeah,
but I absolutely would say. Generally, not to this particular situation, because we do not know the ins and outs, but I just feel like there are, and I don't know how many people there are in the world, but billions of people in the world. There's really no need for you to pick up somebody else's scraps. Like, you may want to, but like disciplining yourself enough to be compassionate and caring about someone else's feelings. Like, I just think that's the least you can do, especially for someone that you call your friend, or if it's your coworker even, or someone you go to church with, or like, why would you even set up a situation where your life, or in this case, children are involved, the lives of the children would be impacted. And now all of this is on social media because you're a celebrity. Like, it's just messy. I mean, $40 million, I get it. But at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. So, girl code. And for those of us who abide by that, like, find somebody else.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe not. I don't know. I would love to hear what other people think.
I think we should just do a whole episode on that. I don't want to go too far because that's a rabbit hole conversation.
Yeah, I'd like to know if people really think like maybe that's something like our next live we can get in and really talk to the folks about that. Like, do you think that's okay? It just seems so uncomfortable, like with everything that you would be doing or involved with, people would bring that up. Like, this isn't at all the same thing, but it's kind of close to, like, Bobby Womack marrying Sam Cooke's widow. Like, to this day, everybody in the situation is dead, but people continue to talk about, like, that is a defining moment in all of their stories. And I'm like, I don't want nobody talking about me like that for the rest of my life and beyond. You know what she did? She married his brother. Like,
yeah, but what she got? I don't know. I think the question is, how much is your happiness worth? You know what I mean? But I don't want it. Like, I just think,
we'll put a pin in it.
We'll put a pin in it, and we'll definitely come back. And y'all let us know. Like, when y'all hear this, send us an email. You know what I mean? And let us know your thoughts on it. Let us know like how you want us to unpack it. Send in your thoughts so we can talk about it on the show, because I think this can be a very interesting topic. So this takes us into let's go back to the segment before we just did the fuck segment where we were talking about Derek Jackson, because that's gonna like lead us into what we're talking about today.
Right.
So for Mother's Day, he posted pictures of he and his wife for Mother's Day, and there was a lot of conversation on their current state. Like, what should they be? Should she still be there? Is she being dumb? Is he really being genuine this time around? And everything else. And that just brings up the conversation about forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, y'all. We're going to talk about our top 5 reasons to forgive, right? Yeah. But that's and it's a very interesting conversation because forgiveness is not easy. So
it's hard.
And I mean, okay, so let's start there. I forget. I be calling her Bonnie. I'm sorry. or Bonnie.
What is her name?
I forget. It started with a D. I think it started with a D. I forget her name.
Yeah, it does.
Danae, something like that.
Danae,
whatever.
Danae.
I don't know. I apologize for not knowing her name. We should have done our research, but we didn't know we was going to talk about it.
We didn't.
But
I'll do some research while we're talking. Go ahead.
If you were in her shoes, well, I already know what you would do, but I guess for the ladies listening, like, could you be in her shoes and truly forgive him? Because apparently it's not the first time, and then you're finding out like the narrative was she knew that he had cheated, but then all this new stuff started coming out, and all these other ladies started stepping forth that she didn't know about. So it was like the one came up, and I guess he told her about her, and then all of a sudden the other one, the surgeon, came up, and the one that he was doing videos outside his house and in the parking lot and sending videos, and then texting her and going to the house. Like, it was just a lot going on. And so we already know, like, a lot of ladies was like, I wouldn't sit there doing that video, and then I definitely wouldn't be sitting there doing that video looking like that. And then the video she did on her own, it
was just a lot.
It was a lot going on.
Yeah,
but
go ahead. You have
I'm just saying, in terms of the relationship, could you forgive that transgression?
I mean, as everyone knows, I've never been married, so I can't say within a marriage, but I have forgiven and attempted to move past cheating in a relationship before. And what I want to make clear about any transgression is that you don't have to stay in something or stay in relationship with someone or stay in friendship, connection with someone to forgive them. Like, I think that's, people tie that together, like, oh, she forgave him by staying with him. They really are two totally different things. She could have said, God bless you in Jesus' name, and still forgiven him and decided to walk on. And so I think that's what is hardest for people to really reckon with and consolidate, because they are thinking of it all together. Like, oh, I could never do that. Well, maybe you can't, stay with someone who has embarrassed you, made you look like a fool, who has hurt you to that degree. Maybe you can't stay with them, but forgiving them is something that, everyone can do. Now, will you do it is also another thing, but it's possible for that to happen. So yes, could I do it in the confines of a relationship? I have. I hope to never experience that ever again. Very, very hurtful. Like, even just thinking about it now, like, and I'm far removed, but like that feeling, that sucks.
Now, okay, so you use the interesting word of confines, right? Because the relationship was confined from public eye too. So you had the luxury, if you can even call it a luxury, of forgiving him relatively privately, meaning no one knew unless you told, right? This was very public.
Yeah, that's a whole nother level.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, there's no way to really protect the relationship. So it's like, you can be someone who you don't discuss the inner workings of the relationship, and he may have cheated, and now you have this decision to make of whether or not you're going to forgive him. You have the decision whether or not you're going to tell somebody. You could not tell any family or friends, forgive him privately, work on it, and move on, and no one is none the wiser. This is not that. So
yeah,
if you were in her position to where it's very public, like, this is millions of people watching this, so millions tune into him, and then millions watch the unfolding on Girls podcast twice. Because once the first one broke, it was like, oh, and then there was another one, so that was even bigger. And then his video, so now you got millions following. Like, this was millions of people.
Yeah, people started following her so they could see her reactions, like she,
right. And then now you do this video, and people are seeing, like, this is happening in front of the world, literally in front of the world, and that paints a whole different picture. And so,
I mean, I promise she's a different kind of woman than most, because that to go through that kind of pain, even privately, is one thing. I could not personally imagine having to do that in the public eye and have people's opinions. Like, even if you want to make it work. I love my husband. I really love the family dynamic that we have. He says that he's sorry. He doesn't, he's not going to do it again. He's, taking steps. We're in counseling, whatever they have going on. Right. And so you want to, but now, you have the weight of public opinion. That's coming. Even people, it's one thing to get it from your mom, your sister, your homegirls, but like, this is people you don't know these people.
Right.
Yeah.
And so so now, like, what about the people that follow him and everything else? Like, do you think the world is going to forgive him?
Well, I saw he happened to go live before Mother's Day. So maybe like toward the end of last week. And, honestly, there were people that were saying like, oh, glad, good to see you. And they were very encouraging. There were some people who were just like, that type of thing. Like, oh, you back on that BS. Hope you're not doing the same thing, to your wife. So every now and again, the comments were kind of, critical. But for the most part, I didn't stay on long, but I think it was like kind of dipping his toe in the water to see what it was. Because he was like, I'm already, kind of posting on Facebook for the past few days, and I'm sure I'll be back over here, soon. So I felt like it was kind of just to gauge what was going to happen. Yeah, but he definitely wasn't, somebody also said, oh, you finally out of that car. So, it wasn't, wasn't one of those videos.
That car got you in trouble though. That location. You better post from a central location.
Yeah. So it definitely wasn't, about, looking at somebody else's video. Wasn't the split screen and none of that kind of stuff, or talking about somebody else's situation. He actually only mentioned the book because someone said like, oh, are you going to write another book or something? And he was just like, oh, actually there is a book. But he's like, I didn't get on to talk about that. And then he was just kind of interacting with the comments, and I didn't have anything to say. I just was being nosy. So I popped out.
It's interesting. I mean, I still don't like the dude, but
forgiveness, huh?
Yeah, I mean, forgive? That's easy. I don't know him to not forgive him, but it's like I don't be going to bed. Fuck that nigga,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think it just the frustration was the havoc that he causes and the division. And he just had the world duped. And that was always my biggest problem is most of the shit he's talking about is bullshit.
So should the public forgive him? Right? People, his faithful followers, people who spent a cute little coin on his books and his little discussion cards, or I don't know if he does personal counseling or coaching, but like anybody that spent a little money.
Yeah, I think that not everyone felt so. There's a sect of people that are like, oh my God, I can't believe you would do this. I followed all this advice. Like there was people that ended their marriages based on his advice.
Oh, now that sucks.
Like, no, I've seen like comments like, I was following bro and I ended my marriage. Da 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 da. And here you know what I'm saying? So lives were definitely affected. And then there were those who separate the message from the messenger type thing. Or it's like, oh, well, we're all human. Like, that's y'all fault for putting them on this pedestal. Blah, 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 blah. So I guess it was easier for them. It was like eat the meat and spit out the bones type deal. So I think the forgiveness should be reserved for those who were affected. And I think it just behooves those people to forgive because he doesn't know you. Like he can't, you're looking at his face. He doesn't know your faces. He doesn't know your lives. He doesn't know the effects and the impact that he has individually on each of these people, and the things that people have. And, like, I just think it's from his side. I don't know if he knows or not. I don't know if he understands or not that when people trust you, and a lot of people put their trust in him, and you betrayed that trust, and he gets to turn his camera off, and he's none the wiser
Yeah.
on the things. It's like I turn this thing on, I say what I say, and then I go about my life doing the shit that I'm doing, and that's a very dangerous thing. And that's why I don't take what we talk about lightly, because again, when we got that email and it just spoke to our reach on this very show. It's easy to look at, oh, the YouTube views are this, and you think, oh, well, they're not watching. No, people are listening to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so there's a responsibility that's connected to that. So I think for those who are like, hey, my life was affected, they don't have his number. It's not likely he reads all those emails or those DMs or those comments. It's too many. So it's like you have to take it upon yourself to heal from that, to forgive, to let go, to repair whatever was broken in that, for yourself.
God bless.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just jump into it. Like, we're talking our me and Dre's top 5 reasons to forgive, because we both believe in forgiveness. The caveat to what we're going to talk about, though, I just want to reiterate what she said earlier. Forgiveness does not mean stay. Forgiveness does not mean forget. Forgiveness does not mean ignored. Forgiveness does not mean turn a blind eye. Forgiveness does not mean turn the other cheek. It doesn't mean any of that. It means I forgive you and I release both of us from this yoke of whatever the transgression is. You know what I mean?
And
it doesn't mean
behind it. Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like that initial like anger or wrath, like that's really what it's about. It doesn't mean that you're not still hurt or affected, but I think it's that fire, about it, or it's that intention to seek revenge or to be vengeful about it. That's where the forgiveness is. All the other stuff, it may take time or it may not happen. Like you said, that, the healing part or the forgetting. I mean, some people never forget. If you do, it might be like a trauma defense, to forget, but that's not what forgiveness is. And because it's been distorted, that's why people are like, I can't do that. That was so hurtful. That was so out of pocket. I can't forget. So therefore I'm not going to forgive this person. But it's literally that anger that really throws your life off course, if we're honest, that we're talking about getting rid of that part as a forgiveness. So let's start with number 5. Number 5. All of our LA folks, it used to be Tito's top 4 at 4.
So from LA. Right. So number 5 is peace in your relationship.
So if you do decide to say you want it to be harmonious,
because that's daunting. Like somebody holding something over your head, and every time you have a disagreement, they bring that thing up.
I'll tell you, I can't stand, not even necessarily a mistake, but I can't stand somebody reminding you of something that they did for you. So it kind of is in line.
Oh, scorekeepers.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I can't stand a scorekeeper.
Just keep it.
Yeah. And so it's like, and it's not fair. You know what I mean? And that's not true forgiveness either. It's like you say you forgive, you think you've gotten over it, but then as soon as something else goes wrong, you go back to that thing. And there's just not peace in your relationship. And so you, as the person who did make the mistake, and it's not necessarily even akin to cheating, it's just whatever it was, you're waiting for that thing to come back up again. It's like, oh my God, like really? I thought we were past this, so forgiveness, I think, is truly releasing your partner from that transgression, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Especially if you're deciding to stay in the relationship, like you got to release them from that,
And sometimes it's a process, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think if I was on the offending side, I would even appreciate my partner saying, I'm working on it, right?
Mhm.
Like, because when you say, I forgive you, then yeah, the expectation is like, I mean, not necessarily that everything is cool, but not that
Mhm.
you would try to, again, exact revenge or bring it back up, throw it in my face. Like, I'm thinking, you
Mhm.
forgave me. But if you haven't, or if it's in progress, that might be a better thing to say so that you can start working on the mending of your
Mhm.
relationship. If there's counseling involved, if there's prayer involved, journaling, like whatever it is that you need to do, like, I want to forgive you. For
Mhm.
some people I've heard, they will say that they've forgiven because that's true. They do want to, but they may not know how.
Mhm.
Or they think that they have, right?
Mhm.
And then something happens
Right.
and it triggers, right? And so I just think, like, being honest and communicating that, like, I really want to, but I don't know how. Or when you
Mhm.
did that thing, it reminded me of this thing, and now
Mhm.
I'm all in my feelings about it.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
tough.
And it's making me think, like, literally in this moment as we're talking, it's making me think about my last relationship. And I'm not sure that there's something major that happened. I think I told you about it.
Okay.
Um, but I don't know in this moment that I've truly forgiven.
Mm.
I'm not certain that I've truly forgiven. So that's something that I need to explore. I'm gonna talk to my therapist about it in our next session.
Write it down.
Um,
Don't forget.
yeah, well, she's got me journaling right now. I have to do
Okay.
a brain dump daily, so that'll be my brain dump today. But I'm wondering, I'm like, have I forgiven that?
And so, I guess, what makes you think that you haven't? How about that?
Because I find myself recently bringing it up.
Mm.
And it's like, I think, yeah, we talk about certain things, but I know for me, it was the ultimate betrayal to me.
But do
Like,
you bring it up like, I just brought it up, or do you feel something like your chest get hot, you
I
might
don't
call
know
and
if
cuss
it's,
somebody out?
I don't know if it's that. I think it's just, I think I emotionally revisit when I talk about it.
Mm.
Um,
So I might still just be hurt because you don't.
it
I
could
mean,
be, and that's why I don't know. I think, like, consciously, I think I've forgiven, but I don't know subconsciously if I have. And so I
Mhm.
think I need to, like, dive deeper into that, because I don't want to you know be held captive by it. And then you wonder, like, if something like that deep, like that relationship was years and years ago, but one, I haven't been in a relationship since,
Mhm.
so it makes you wonder, do I have trust issues connected to that thing? Because I
And
know
you
I could,
might.
yeah,
You
I know
might.
I could never trust her again.
Mhm.
Based on that, I know we had a conversation where she was mentioning, like, getting back together or trying to work it out, and I was like, no. And my rationale was because, one, like, I know who you are. We've done this for 3.5 years. And I was
Mhm.
like, if we get back together and it doesn't work, it's my fault because I knew better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just think about this thing, and I'm wondering, like, damn, have I really forgiven? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a good question to ask yourself, so that we can actually be asking our listeners at the same time, like, what does unforgiveness look like? And so
Mhm.
I honestly would say that it definitely is the negativity around there. It's the anger, it's resentment, it's not necessarily having an emotion. Like, I don't feel like, oh, when you forgive somebody, it just completely washes away. Sometimes
Mhm.
we repress. And so you might just be dealing with
Mhm.
residue from, like, I didn't really deal with it. You probably
Yeah.
have let her go, and not, you're not holding her captive for
Mhm.
what she did, but it doesn't mean that you've resolved your feelings behind it. And again, those are two totally different things. So I don't want anybody to feel like, because you are still hurt, or you're potentially still thinking about something or talking about something, that you haven't forgiven. It's the way in which you do it, right? Like, how are you talking about it? Is it like, this bitch? But now that that might be a problem. But if you're just like,
and I know
Susie did blah blah blah, you're able to just tell the story. That's
right.
That's
I know one thing when they're talking about, they'll say something, something that's all negative. What sign am I? And I'll be seeing that, and I'll be like,
that one.
Motherfucking go. Like, out of all my relationships, nigga, my answer is always, nigga, Virgo.
Come on, Earth signs. I'm not a Virgo, but Earth gang.
All right.
I mean, for those that believe in that, it's all fun and games to me.
She a Capricorn.
All right. So 5, peace in your relationship. And again, this is for those who are going to remain friends. You're going to remain in relationship. Maybe this is parental. Like, you can't divorce your parents. Can you? Can you divorce your parents? I think you can, or emancipate or something. Yeah. But so this is providing you're staying in relationship with whoever harmed you.
I'm sorry. I just imagine the kid walk into a room with their parents. I want a divorce.
Just make sure you're ready, okay? They
walk in the room with a backpack and one toy.
Just make sure you're ready, okay?
I'm sorry.
So if you're gonna be in a relationship
sick of this shit.
Whomever. Okay.
All right. We back. Number 4.
That's number 4. Number 4.
We desire forgiveness from our partner. That's real shit. It's like, because
anybody.
Really?
Because it might not necessarily be a tit for tat. This is, karma, just generally, right? Like, you may need forgiveness or, grace somewhere else in your life. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, we all mess up. We're all gonna mess up. Like,
oh, child.
And you want somebody when you mess up, especially, I think, and we feel like when we mess up and then we recognize we messed up and we're the ones that go to them and we're asking for forgiveness. And I think we play the conversation in our head like, oh, I did this and she gonna forgive me. And then I'm gonna take her out to eat or we gonna make love, whatever the situation is. I mean, she's like,
and it don't quite go.
It turned into a big fight. And all I imagine is that scene on Hitch. On the first date when he took her out and like to the museum and then found her family member on the manifest coming when they was coming to America, and then found out that he was a murderer, and she started crying, and he just stood there. He was like this. I saw that going differently in my head. Yeah. And people, and I know this for a fact. Women plan arguments in y'all head. Like, I'm gonna say this, and he gonna try to lie and say that, and then I'm like, boom, I got this. I love.
We definitely play out dialogue.
I love fucking up y'all inner dialogue because
she like,
did you say such and such and such? Yeah, I did. And then she stuck because she was expecting me. I'm like, I'm not a liar. No, I am, but you just never know when I am.
My God.
I'm not a liar. I lie sometimes.
Thank you. I was about to say, I don't know about claiming being a liar, but everybody lies or has lied or will lie. Hopefully that's just not your.
I'm going to tell 2 lies tomorrow. Just to get out the way.
Just to get right. Be done with it. So we desire forgiveness from our partner or from someone, right? Like somewhere or anywhere in our lives, we're going to want someone to forgive us. And we can't go, well, when I do something wrong, well, you know my heart, like I didn't mean it, and not, extend that same exception to others, though. It's hard.
It is hard.
The hard R is hard.
It's LA hard. Hey, cuz, you know what I'm saying? I forgave you. You can't forgive a nigga for nigga transgressions.
That's real.
That's just
real conversation.
That's just fucked up, cuz. You know what I'm saying? Like, you come up in this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? You do your shit, my nigga.
You ain't perfect.
You ain't perfect. Listen, when I tell y'all I love being from LA, but then being away from LA, everybody always tell you got the accent, especially when they hear my R's. If I've been drinking, yeah, them R's come out. Oh, that shit was hard, nigga. Hey, for real though.
We love LA. Okay, we ready for number 3?
We are ready for number 3. Number 3.
There you go. There you go.
Unforgiveness is toxic.
Oh,
it can literally kill y'all. Like,
yeah,
it can. It's just so, like I just mentioned a second ago, not being sure if I've forgiven my ex for this particular thing. And so when I think about that, I think about like all the therapy that I've been in and talking about past relationships and just how much of that is connected to our current state of mind, our current relationship status, why we struggle with relationships or getting in relationships, why we have problems trusting, just a lot. It's like an iceberg for real. Like you don't know how deep and wide inside you that it goes until you really explore it. And it can literally kill you because it
turns to bitterness.
Yeah, it turns to bitter. And I've been bitter, I've been angry, I've been a lot of things. And I think a lot of people who are bitter don't know they're bitter. You know, and that's why I just really urge everyone also be careful who you call, because we use this bitter thing as an insult. Like it's crazy. And I think I've mentioned this on a previous episode, how you'll have this dialogue and somebody, you can see the emotion in people's comments or whatever. And someone's like, oh, you sound bitter, as if their bitterness is their fault. Like we use bitter as a shaming, we weaponize it, and like if someone's bitter, this means that they have been hurt by someone else, and then we say that to invalidate their feeling, their or whatever sentiment that they're trying to share. Like, you're bitter, so it doesn't count. You know what I mean? Oh, you need to heal first, sis. You know,
and that's not fair. But also, maybe for the person who has gotten to bitterness, maybe that's a wake-up call, right? Like you said, people don't necessarily know that they're bitter. So if you're hearing from people that you're bitter, that is a wake-up that, the thing that I've been wrestling with has progressed to another level, right? And that it may be time, if you have been trying to deal with it on your own, it may be time to get some help, whether that's spiritual, whether that's, talking to somebody, a therapist, counselor, whatever. Like, I know that people do weaponize it, but also, folks are just calling a thing, right? Like, sis, you're bitter, and that can serve, kind of as a sign like, hey, it's time for me. If I want to be better, it's time for me to do something about this, because, and honestly, I feel like we might need I'm like you, we might need a part 2, because you may want to heal, but you may not, or forgive, let's just say stick with forgiveness, but not know how to. Like, I just don't know. And I didn't know that it had progressed to the point where it's actual toxicity, that every time I open my mouth, I sound like this to other people. Not your fault, right? Whatever happened to you, and it's not your fault. But now you are sowing seeds that's impacting now somebody else's life. What if you now are committing either the same offense to somebody else or something as a result of what's happened to you? Like, that doesn't make that right either. So it can become like this whole vicious cycle.
Would you have the courage to ask someone if you sound bitter?
I have.
You have? Oh. Dope. Oh no.
Yeah, because I think I was aware. I was aware, like, oh, I probably.
I wasn't aware when I was
not cute.
Right. When I was bitter, I was not aware. But then also part of my bitterness anyway, was of my own doing as well. So that was a tough pill to swallow too, when I had to realize that part.
Yeah.
So that was that.
And I may not have known that it was actual bitterness, but I knew it was negativity, right? Because like, if I respond, everything's biting, everything's, aggressive and all that kind, like that was clear to that was clear to me. I might not have been able to trace it, but I knew like, oh, I'm not a nice person, and I am a nice person. You know what I'm saying? Like, if everybody's thoughts of you are like, oh, don't fool with her, blah blah, and I'm like, that's not who I am. That's not who my mama knows me to be, or my sister, or my cousins. Like, nobody in my inner circle talks about me like that. So,
but they also look at you through a different lens, and I want to challenge. Yeah, I challenge people, y'all that are listening to this, like, if you have been hurt or feel hurt or experiencing hurt, ask someone that's real close to you. One, like, that you have a strong relationship with, and two, someone that'll tell you the absolute truth and not spare your feelings. Ask them if you sound bitter. Like, how do I sound when I talk?
And when I say, like, my mom and my you met my mama. When I say I'm not like that to her, cheers to her. That's not who she's known me to be. Not to say that she didn't experience me. Like, now, she didn't experience my fire, but she could see it, going towards somebody else's direction. She was able to speak into me. She's honestly one of the only people that I would listen to in that point in time in my life too. So that's a good point. Make sure that you're talking to somebody. I think you say this often, like, not just our cheerleaders, but people that will give it to us straight.
Yeah.
So let's move into number two.
Number two. Freedom. Freedom. Freedom.
It just feels so good. There is nobody, and everybody feels like they've had some shitty things happen to them. And I know there are some that are shittier than others. So I'm not going to try to act like mine is the top. No race to the worst here. But I have had some things that have been very hurtful, but I promise, like, there literally is nothing that feels better than, like, the release. Like, that I'm not carrying this. Like, you can carry, you're the one that did it. Why do I have to carry it?
Right.
I'm cool. So freedom is important. And I'll just tell this quick story. I had, somebody that I really, really loved and looked up to. And, for all intents and purposes, my family, been in my life since I was a little girl, and, hurt my feelings really, really badly. And I wound up wearing her the F out verbally.
I was going to say you whooped her ass.
No, well, I've been there too, but this particular was a verbal, and, said some things that I never would have said, but whole child, and, felt justified in it. I was like, you shouldn't have come at me and my folks, in any particular way. And I remember, like, I got no rest. When I tell you no rest, if I closed my eyes to get rest, I was dreaming about it. All day thinking about it, couldn't sleep, not good sleep. And I was just like, oh my God. And I ultimately, like, called to, and I'm not the one that started it, but I felt the need to call and apologize and then say, and I forgive you too. Like, whether or not you apologize, like, I forgive you too, because I got to get this off of me so that I can rest, but also so that I can do what I'm assigned to do. Because I was in a particular season in my life too. And I was just like, I can't focus, concentrate, and I can't get to the next level with this kind of holding me down. And that might sound, kind of like woo, woo, woo for somebody, like, oh, but it's true. Like, some things just really, like, bog us down, even if it hasn't gotten to the level of toxicity. Like, you still feel the heaviness and the weight, or you're the one thinking about it. Like, imagine somebody throws a rock at you and they forget in the next second that they did it. They gone.
Yeah.
And you replaying it in your head over and over and over and over and over and over, and like,
yeah. I tell my kids that all the time. Like, they walking around giving dirty looks and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, well, why are you doing that? Because I don't like her. And no, like, they'll get mad because somebody that they don't like spoke to them. Why? Because she talking to me. I was like, so what's wrong with that? Because I don't like
I do
her.
not miss high school, child.
And like, I'm like, does she know you don't like her? She should. I'm like, how would she know that? Did you tell her? No, but she should just know because I don't talk to her. Like, huh? And I tell them like
Immaturity.
people that you don't like very rarely know that you don't like them. They
They
just see
are
you.
off in the wind.
Yeah, and you just and I was like, it takes way more energy to not like somebody. Because when
Mhm.
you when they come around, like you can be perfectly fine and they come around, now you have to start doing what not liking somebody does, which is
Mhm.
the rolling the eyes and the sucking the teeth, and they don't know you doing it at them. They just like, you know what I mean? Going and quick story. This is what I tell them. I always tell them this story. I can't even remember how long ago I read this story or heard it, but it was about two monks. And every year for 30 days they would take a vow of silence during daylight hours, right? And so to pass the time when they couldn't talk, they would like take daily walks. So they were going for a walk one day and they come by this stream that was kind of hard to cross. And there's this lady there with a big basket of fruit, and she's wearing this beautiful long flowy white dress. And she's crying because she can't cross the stream because she'll ruin her dress. And so the monks look at each other like as to help her out. So one picks up the basket of fruit, and the other one picks her up and kind of wraps her dress, around her, and they carry her across the stream. And when they did that, their robes got real wet and muddy, from the stream and everything else. And so they got across the stream and put down the fruit and put the lady down, and she picks up the basket of fruit and just leaves without saying anything. And so they kind of looked at each other like to continue their walk. And so when they got back to the monastery and the sun went down and they're able to talk, the one who carried the basket of fruit was pissed. He was like, "Can you believe that lady?" He's like, "What are you talking about? Like, we picked her up and carried her across the stream and we ruined our robes and everything else. And she didn't even say so much as a thank you. Like, people in the world, like the world is just out of hand. People are so ungrateful." And he was like, "Well, I wasn't bothered at all." He was like, "Well, why not?" He was like, "Well, your weight was much heavier than mine." And he was like, "What do you mean? I only had the basket of fruit. Your weight was heavy. You had to carry her across the stream." He was like, "Well, that's just it. I only carried her across the stream. You carried her around all day." So it's like this, this bitterness of the transgressions and everything else that we carry around, and we're not free of it. So he released her, like he set her down by the stream and he left her by the stream. And I think a lot of people haven't learned to leave their transgressions by the stream. So
I love it.
yeah.
I love it. And I think that's a good seg into number one, right?
Yeah, number one. God commands us to forgive, and God forgives us. So y'all, look, we get it. Not everybody believes what we believe. But we believe the God of the Bible. We believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins. Those are our beliefs. But I don't know that there's a faith that exists that does not command forgiveness. To be honest, and I think that most of the beliefs of every faith are pretty much aligned. Like, be good people, forgive one another, treat your brother like you want to be treated. Like basic tenets across the board. So it's just a commandment and we added the God forgives us part because that's the part we often forget. Like, God forgives us no matter what we do. Listen, no matter what we do, he is faithful and just to forgive. And I think that's the part we often forget, while we're holding on to our bitterness and our judgment and everything else. And we've betrayed God so many times, it's ridiculous. So,
man, even on things that you think would be small, like, I've been convicted about like the time that's been like, I used to have a daily date with God, and I feel really bad saying used to, but like it was standing. I knew exactly what time I was going to meet with him. And, in the midst of having a fit with somebody that, didn't hold up their, time that we were supposed to have together, I was absolutely convicted. Like, well, shoot, you missed our appointment for 3 months now,
Right.
And we get a new batch of grace and mercy every single day. Whether we recognize it or not, even those that aren't believers, you get the same measure, and we're forgiven even when we forget to ask for forgiveness. Sometimes, you know, it takes you a while to repent, you know, a while to recognize what you've done. And this is what he offers us because he loves us. And so, and it's a model for what we should do for others.
And imagine this, if y'all will, those who are listening, imagine this when we talk about, think about this daily appointment Dre just talked about, right? And God wants our attention and time every day. So imagine this. He still shows up to the appointment every single day without fail, whether you show up or not. So if you picture God sitting there waiting for you to show up just in front of an empty chair that you're supposed to be in, and he still shows up every day waiting for the day that you return, and does it without complaint, does it faithfully, knows that you're not coming.
Right. Now that's the part. It's not like he's waiting to see if you will. He already knows if you know that you'll be there or you won't be there.
So that's super interesting. So okay, I need you to hold me accountable to something. We gotta come back to this. We gotta do a part 2 of this.
I mean, we've done the 5 things. So what would be the part 2?
We can just come in and unpack.
Just
them.
talk about talk more about them.
And so y'all, please, email us after you just hear these top 5 and what we discussed today. Send us our feedback because we want to unpack your feedback. You know, so you can send us an email. What are your thoughts? Comment on YouTube. Like, send us the information, send us your feedback, comment in the group, comment on the page, wherever. We're going to get all that information, and then we're going to bring it to the Xrossroadz and unpack it. So really quick, just for the second time, we're going to do a quick final thoughts, but we are going to come back to this topic because I think that is super important. So what are your final thoughts for the day?
I mean, forgive. I really don't know what I can say on top of what's already been said. It's hard. Like, we recognize that it's hard. We recognize that not everybody is doing it. It's not even popular, but it's the right thing to do, and not necessarily for others. Like, I think a lot of focus is put on, forgive that person. Like, forgive to release yourself. Forgive so that you can bring good things to yourself. Forgive so that you can heal yourself. If you can't think of any other reason outside of yourself to do it, think about you. And I think that's one of the best reasons to make it happen.
Yeah. And me, it's just my mantra, same energy, homie. Like, you know, you expect forgiveness, you're going to have to give it. And it's not easy to do, but it's a necessary thing for the same reasons that Dre just outlined. You're holding up a lot of your blessings by holding on to this bitterness, and just your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health are all affected by it. So that's about as succinct that I can get on the final thought. You know, but until the next time, y'all, this has been another episode of the Xrossroadz. I'm your man Barzini,
and I'm your girl Dre Renee.
And always, in closing, remember. Be free
to be you.
We love y'all.
Peace. Go forgive somebody.
We want to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and register for our email list for more episodes and projects from your hosts, Barzini and Dre Renee. Until next time, this has been the Xrossroadz Podcast. And remember, be free to be you.